Welcome to the Coop Tank. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, coming to you from SuiteRecording in beautiful Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And I'm here with Joe Gangemi. And Joe, I was driving over today, and on a First Wave on Sirius, Devo's cover of Rolling Stone's I Can't Get No Satisfaction came on. And it's such a great cover. It's so quirky. You're a big music guy. What's a cover song that you really enjoy and you go, man, that they did a really good job on it?
You know, Coop, this is a pretty easy one for me. It's got to be All Along the Watchtower. The Jimi Hendrix version is actually a Bob Dylan cover, and he took that thing and ran with it. And he did so well that Bob Dylan actually said, Jimmy, I mean, that's pretty much your song now. And so Bob started playing it that way at his concerts because it was so much better. So I would say that. And then one quick honorable mention to the version of Unchained Melody by Elvis Presley that I heard recently was incredible too. So that's
and we know you like Jimi Hendrix because of the song "Hey Joe," which I always put an email. I say "Hey Joe." So, and I'm going to say right now, "Hey Joe, tell me about this SuiteRecording place."
Yeah, man, would love to. So at SuiteRecording, we help brands and businesses to leverage the power of podcasts and video content. We believe that there's huge untapped potential for brands to use podcasts for a variety of ways. I mean, it's a great way to strengthen your network. It's a great way to build brand authority and to deliver value to your audience. And so when you work with SuiteRecording, we take the hassle of podcasting out of your hands with services ranging from content strategy to recording, of course, and production and publication and just about everything else in between. So if you're interested in learning more about how we can turn your brand into a brand-aligned video series, then you can contact us anytime at hello@suiterecording.com or visit us on the web at suiterecording.com. That's SUITE. Take it away, Coop.
I was looking at my guests today. I noticed they've all seen me do comedy, but they've all seen me do it at different venues. They didn't see that's cool. That doesn't happen a lot because I don't perform at a lot of different venues. And we have a great show. We have some great people I know from networking. First guest from Keller Williams Realty, it's Chris Bate. How you doing, Chris?
I'm great, Steve. Thanks for having me.
You got it. And then she's returning. It was like a year ago she was on here. Different company now. From Snevel Technologies, it's Kelly Lyons. How you doing, Kel?
I'm good, Coop. How are you?
I'm doing well. Finally, a guy who I ran into last week, a big Springsteen fan like me, from Fisher Financial Management. It's Mark Fisher. How you doing, Mark?
Good, Coop. How you doing, man?
Great.
Good to see you.
So Chris, tell me a little about your role at Keller Williams and give it up.
Sure. So Chris Bate, and I've been in Keller Williams Realty for about 14 years. I've been a residential real estate specialist here in South Jersey for a little over 16 years now. And I cover, Burlington, Camden, Gloucester counties. I'll go anywhere in South Jersey, but that's primary where I do my service.
Okay. And now, Kelly, tell us about Snevel Technology and your position with them, because it's new.
Yeah, it is. It is new. It is new. I've been with Snevel since the beginning of June now, and Snevel Technologies is we are an infrastructure company. We run cable and security cameras and AV installations. And I am the VP of Operations and Business Development there.
All right. And Mark, tell us a little about Fisher Financial Management and what you're doing over there.
Fisher Financial Management is as it sounds. It is my own firm. I've been an independent financial advisor for 20 years now. I've been in the industry about 25. I got my baptism years ago in the tech bubble, but I am an independent financial advisor that has access to personal planning all the way up through corporate planning and beyond. So I am a full service financial advisor.
All right. So, I like doing the show because you always hear different stories of how people got to where they are. And Chris, what's your path to becoming a realtor? Because you said you've been doing it for 16 years, but what was your path that got you into that profession?
Well, when I first got into it, I was in a different career altogether in the diesel industry. And I wanted to invest in real estate. I thought it would be, a good idea, a good path. I was always interested in it. And I started to do some of that. And I became familiar with a group called South Jersey Investors. And it's a good sized group. And the guy who ran it became my original broker. His name was Pat Murphy. And his motto was "Dirty Houses Cheap." And I got tired of calling Pat saying, "Tell me about this house I just see. Tell me about that house I just see." And and I said, I'm going to go to real estate school and get the tools that you have, so I'm not calling you 3 times a day. And he agreed that was a good idea. And when I first, graduated and passed the test and all that stuff, I got my license and I went to him. I said, I'm just going to hang it here if it's okay with you. He said, absolutely. And I said, listen, I don't want to be a realtor. I just want your tools. And so don't ever ask me to go sit in a house on Sunday with a box of cookies. And he said, I understand. I don't, that lots of people tell that story. So don't worry about it. So I did. And lo and behold, he started asking me to do certain things, which Pat was a really nice guy and I was happy to do them for him. But truth be told, I started making money by accident. I was still well ensconced in my other career. And but I decided to, like this was working out and I wasn't even trying. And I said to my wife, I said, look, I can replace my income if I just go do this full time. And I'm not on the road. I was covering Eastern Shores, Maryland and Massachusetts for my other career. And she said, are you sure? And I said, I think so. And she said, all right, let's do it. And so I dove into it full time and it was the best thing I ever did. So I made the switch over to Keller Williams a short while later. And it's been a great thing. I love my career.
That's awesome. And now, Kelly, I know you have like the crazy background like me. You were in LA and everything like that. So tell us how you ended up at Snevel, because in a condensed version, because I know you can go on for like 2 hours for you've done a lot of stuff. But tell me how you're now with Snevel.
Well, let's see. So I was working in the MSP world, which is managed services provider, and it's a world I never thought I would be in because I would never describe myself as technical. I like people a lot more than I like machines. But I was with another company for several years. I learned a lot. But my expertise is really helping companies scale. So I was a CEO for many years and I really enjoy cultivating businesses and things like that. So when Brian Levins, who is the owner of Snevel, was ready to kind of get his company to the next level and start sort of formulating his company for scaling success, he and I sat down and had a conversation, and we realized we were a really good fit for the next leap for me. And the company I was with has been established for many, many years. This was just an easier place for me to really be able to leverage all of the skills I like to use. So that's what happened. And so now I'm with Snevel, which is the funniest name for a company ever. And if you're curious about that, he's not a huge Harry Potter fan, which is what people ask me. Snevel is Levins spelled backwards. And so when Brian had to come up with his company name very quickly, because he had to establish a company very quickly, and that's what it became. And so I've always been blessed as a marketing person with companies with weird names. And so my latest is Snevel. And so currently we are Sneveling up.
Oh, right. See, I put my name into everything,
Yes.
Cocktails with Cooper, coffee with Cooper, the Coop Tank, Coop's Comedy Corner, Cooper Talk, because I'm a narcissist, but insecure.
You're welcome.
So anyway, so okay, Mark, you've been in finance for a long time. How did you end up? Was that your college goal? Because I always wonder, financial guys, so many of them do start out in college with that focus. But tell me your path to being in the financial world.
I'll have to sum it up. My path started with my grandfather when I was 8 years old. He was reading the Wall Street Journal and, like kids do, probably coloring or something. And he punched the table, punching the Wall Street Journal because his stock went down. And it probably went down a penny. He was very tight with his money. But I asked him, what's wrong, as any kid would. And he started teaching me about stocks when I was 8 years old. Now, when I got to college, I thought you had to get into Wharton Business School or something like that to become financial advisor. So I really focused on health and wellness and got a degree in exercise science. But when I got out, I was working with my broker who was managing some money that my grandfather had left me, as it turned out. And he offered me a job to come be his assistant and sit outside his door and soak it all up and listen to 20 different guys at Payne Weber. If anybody remembers that name from the 90s, they're now UBS. And I got really lucky and I got my foot in the door. I did some 401k work in DC, Baltimore, which was extremely interesting. And I have many stories about that. And in 2000, I decided to come back to this area where my father's an accountant as well, and started working for the banks. Didn't really like what was going on at the banks as far as what products they were pushing. But I've always had this thing about stocks. I'll read The Economist on the beach. I'm that kind of geek. I'm not reading People magazine or something entertaining. I'm actually reading something that's technical, but it's something I find joy in and extreme interest in. And I said, why not go into a career where you can get paid to do this? And so in 2004, I just said, all right, I'm going to take the dive off the deep end and go out on my own. And since 2004, I've been on my own, 20 years now, and just doing what I love to do, help people manage their money, try to help people not make the wrong decisions, and try to guide people into retirement and beyond. I'm actually working with third generation clients now. So I feel very, very lucky when it comes to that.
It's awesome, man. That's cool. So we're going to start with you, Kelly. What motivates you, Kelly Lyons? You know, people always ask, you know, it's funny. You go online and I see this on like LinkedIn. People write some long AI generated bullshit and they always pull their kids into it. And I'm like, you know, keep your fucking kids out of it. You know, like, oh, my kid, I learned this today from my kid when they were, shut up. Okay. That has nothing to do with it. Don't pawn your kids out unless you're getting paid for it. But they always put up about the motivation. They always have these, you've seen it. They have these elaborate things that, as I said, use the AI, but people never really say what motivates them. They never sit there and say, be honestly. So Kelly, what motivates you? Because I know you work your ass off. What motivates you?
Creativity. I like to create things, and that could be anything. It could be a piece of marketing material. It could be establishing a better mode for a company. I like to have my hands in the earth, my hands in the clay. I like to create things, and that is definitely always been a motivating factor for me. So,
okay. All right. How about you, Mark? What motivates you?
I try to help people figure out how much enough is. And that's really my motto. When it comes to retirement planning, whether it's saving for college for your kids or just yourself, you need a certain amount of money to maintain the lifestyle that you become accustomed to in retirement. And it motivates me to help people find that number. A lot of people don't know it. There's 3 other people on this call. All 3 of you have a different answer to that question. I could be in a room with 20 people and all 20 have a different answer to that question, how much enough is. And it's not really about where you stop, but it's about knowing I need a certain amount of income in retirement that's going to last me as long as I'm here, until I'm 90 or until I'm 70 or until I'm 100. My oldest client is getting ready to turn 90. And she has more money than she knows what to do with, and she just can't enjoy it. But she knew how much enough was a long time ago. This is why she saves so much. And there's really a lack in financial literacy in this country and in the world right now. People don't know what a stock is or a mutual fund. Some people only know CDs from the banks. And I really get deep into what people like and what people need. And I find that by going to them, I'm a little different. I don't have a fancy office. I don't spend a lot of money on all the flash. I'll go to their houses. I'll go to their favorite diner. I'll go to their favorite bar if that's what they really want. Wherever they're most comfortable talking about what they want to do financially and what their goals are. And I find by going to their homes, I get to see what their lifestyle is. So I get a better sense of what they're looking for and how to properly guide them through this wonderful world of investing.
Okay. You know, it's just funny. I saw this the other day. I went to Stockton, which was when it's Stockton State College. And when I went there, it was $32.50 a credit. Okay. I just looked it up now because it's a university, $533 a credit. And I go, no wonder there's such a student loan problem. It's insane. It's crazy. So Chris, what motivates you?
Well, so to go back to my other career, which was business to business, I discovered that in real estate, I became person to person. And that's where, I found some joy in what I was doing. And just, helping people. And in that, I've developed a niche where, and I will help anybody do anything, but I developed a bit of a niche where helping seniors downsize out of a home they've been in for 30, 40, 50 years even. They've got a lifetime of collections. They're at an advanced age, and moving or downsizing or getting out of this space is a very daunting task. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in the middle of helping them with that task. And they're going, I wish I had done this 2, 3, or 5 years ago when I was in better health, instead of when they're forced to, because now they're not. And so I've allied with a number of resources that help me help those people deal with all of the things, both physical and emotional, to get them out of what they have, again, collected for decades, a generation plus. And also helping their adult children deal with the problems that mom or dad have in their current situation, in life. So,
Okay.
that just, it became a thing about helping people, which I can make a good living at, versus the business to business thing, which is always full of friction,
Okay. As I said earlier, I said, I know all of you, you're good people. That's a compliment. That's like an easy compliment. They're good people. It's such like a, thing. But what is a compliment? What's a compliment that someone has given you maybe the last 6 months that made you really happy? Like, I was having coffee with someone and they said, Steve, you're a piece of shit. And I said, thank you. I want to be a piece of shit. And that was a good compliment. Now, they said to me, you have credibility. And to me, that meant a lot, because we do meet so many people who don't have credibility. You think they do, and then you find out, oh my God. But we're going to start with you, Mark. What's a compliment? It could be from a family member. It could be from a networking person. It could be just like a stranger. What's a compliment that someone has given to you about a characteristic of you that really made you happy?
There's two things I got recently. One, I got that I'm empathetic. And Chris, I've seen some of your situations where I've tried to help people get through separating their past and breaking up a house, or breaking up the 3 houses that they have. And the other I got was that I'm extremely honest. I tell people sometimes what they don't want to hear. I tell them, if you spend this money, you're not going to be okay. And sometimes I tell them I won't be a part of it because I simply know it'll be a catastrophe and I don't want it to come back on me. And I try to be honest. I'm very polite with the honesty, but I'm always honest. And just last night, I was on the phone with 2 sisters, helping them navigate their mother's new trust. And they appreciated me taking the time in the evening to call them both on a joint call. And they just said, we want your honesty, and we've always appreciated it. And that's why they've been clients for 15 years.
Okay.
It's really nice to hear that from 2 people.
That's awesome. How about you, Chris? What's a compliment someone's given you lately that, you're like, oh man, that makes me feel good?
It's great to go second in this situation, because you get to think about what you're going to say, because your time's going up. He made it seem seamless, and and he helped mom and dad, get what they needed, get what they wanted, and just made it easy. Guided me through the process, kept me informed, those sorts of things.
Okay. How about you, Kelly? And you can't. I know you have a cooking thing, so we can't say, man, she makes some good vittles. If you don't know people, Kelly's a great chef. She's a caterer too. But what's a compliment that you've heard that really made you happy?
You are my go-to girl. Somebody just said that to me, and you would think that wouldn't really be necessarily so rewarding at this stage in the game, but it did. I was like, oh, they're like, yeah, you always figure it out. I was like, wow, that's awesome. I really never thought about that, but I do try to figure it out no matter what it is.
Okay, so you're the go-to girl, and that's a good characteristic you have, and you have a lot of good characteristics. What's something that you need to improve on? Because a lot of times people don't want to face that. People, it's funny. They don't want to sit there and go, God, I got to, get better at this. But what's something you need to improve on, Kelly?
Saying no. Actually, those things go hand in hand. If you're the go-to girl, you'll go to the extent to do what you need to do, right? But sometimes you just need to say, I can't do it, or I'm not going to do it, or it's one of those things, because you wind up burning yourself out trying to you set yourself on fire to keep everybody warm, because there's a lot of payoff on that, right? And then eventually you realize setting yourself on fire is not as much of a payoff if it's just going to wear you out. So saying no is really hard for me.
I've been there, Kelly.
Yeah. It feels
Yeah.
hard. It's hard.
And you're a
Um,
go-to girl, which is, I
I'm a
always wanted
go-to
to be a
girl.
hollaback girl. I want to be a hollaback girl. I want to be like Gwen Stefani.
Hello.
So,
Yes.
so that's good. So, not saying that is a problem. You're right. And we probably all, have encountered that before because it's, you want to help. And it's something, I don't know if it's like guilt, but it's so
It
funny. And
is.
sometimes you should say, I should say no. And then you don't, and then you get burnt. So, but that's good. But you notice it, which is good. So you'll get better at that. Mark, what's something that you need to improve on yourself?
Something I need to improve is asking for business. I kind of got during COVID, we got separated from each other. And I've really appreciated the last 2 years where we've all been able to get back out and meet people like yourself, Coop, at the different events and network and see people. But you used to have that killer instinct as a broker, which they teach you. And I was always very good at asking for the business. And now I've gotten to the point where I'd like to get to know the people, and I get carried away with getting to know the people before I give them a sales pitch. And it just seems to be more of a social gathering rather than, well, what can I do to help you? And the other day I took some people golfing and I made sure that I asked all three people, what could I do to help you? And one guy was in between jobs, another guy said, we'll be seeing each other soon. And the other person was brand new to me, so I hope to run into her again, and we'll see what happens from there. But asking for more business is what I have to do now. It's just been, I guess I got a little comfortable during COVID, and we all kind of did. And now it's time to grow. It's time to move forward.
Okay. How about you, Chris? What's something that you need to improve on?
Well, it's a little bit of a combination of those things. I try to live by a motto that says "Come from contribution." So when I meet you, whether it's at a networking event or for the first time at some sort of social event or whatever, I'm always about who do you need to meet? What are you trying to do? Tell me about your situation where maybe I can help. And it doesn't always have to do with real estate. It has to do with my landscaper screwed up. I need a new one. Or it has to do with I've got this mountain of a job, and in an overabundant desire to help, I jump in and I spend way too much time doing what they need me to do, and that all takes away from what I really should be doing, which is working on and in my business.
Okay.
I break up my day. Like morning hours are supposed to be for building my business, and afternoon hours are supposed to be for doing my business. And those times get confused far too often. So sticking to a schedule and making sure I'm taking care of what I need to do in my physical world, and then being the person that I can be your go-to after that.
Okay. I usually ask this question later, but because we seem to be on the path of networking, we're gonna stay with you, Chris. Tell me because networking's so important. It's taking the place of the cold call. Everyone networks, and you're right to a point, Mark. Sometimes it does become social, and you see it when there's clicks, and you go, you really like clicks? Like you're 40. Come on. It's like I guess you weren't popular in high school or college.
I wish I was still 40.
Exactly. So do I. I turned 87 the other day. Look great for 87, but it's good. So networking, we'll start with you, Chris. What do you like about networking? And then on the flip side, what don't you like about networking?
What I like about networking is, and you've actually taught me some of this, Steve, and Kurt are a common friend that we have, Kurt Fulcher, has as well. And that is, understanding that networking, you can't walk into a networking event and go, in my case, hi, I'm Chris, here's my card. Do you want to buy or sell a house? Oh, no? All right. Well, nice to meet you. Goodbye. Networking is about getting to know somebody. And my words to them are, who do you need to meet? And who do you need to be in a room with? Or who do you need to know that I might know? That sort of thing. And what I hate about it is the opposite, that out of the people that come in and they only want to talk to you about, do you have any money to spend with me? I think that happens all too often. Their expectation of networking isn't what my expectation is. in a converse way, and it's frustrating sometimes. But it's like any other, contact list. If I'm calling on a list of people that I might have, your ratios of touches to inquiries to meetings to contracts, it goes like this. So the more people you talk to, the more networking serves its purpose for both parties, for all parties. And so I try not to let it bother me too much that I walk in and, I'm hit with some people who don't have the expectations I have and only look to me for, what they can kind of suck out of me.
Okay. How about you, Kelly? What do you like? I know, we've been networking for a while. In fact, I met Kelly at this great little place, the Green Cat Cafe. And man, that donut you got me was awesome. I took it home. Oh, it was excellent. I didn't share it with Joanne because she's not a big donut. I'm like, you don't get any. Forget
I
this.
can tell her.
She got that little pastry. But what do you like about networking, and then what don't you like about networking?
Well, I actually love the social aspect of networking. I think that that's a really good way to build genuine connections with people, right? Because you're going to go into a networking event and you have to be productive. So you don't want to stand in your cliques and talk to the same people all the time. But I love to connect with people and have good conversations. And even if they can't do anything for me in my business, I love connecting people with other people. So if I like have a conversation with you and I'm like, oh, you need to talk to Steve Cooper, it may have nothing to do with what I'm doing, but I love to make those authentic connections for other people too. What I don't love about networking, completely transparently, I'm a mother of four and I hate that they're always at night or very often at night. And then I have a whole house full of people that are awaiting my return. So sometimes I wish that networking was a little bit more family friendly. And I know that's probably faux pas speaking from the business mother, the mother in business, but it would be easier for me if there was more done during the day.
I think it's going to start going trending that way too, because it's changed. Because everyone was doing the stuff online when during the pandemic they're doing Zoom, so why not do it in person then? And you're right. That's like I don't go to some events. I'm like, I don't feel like going. I want to sit home. I want to,
So your
especially.
wife and
Yeah, and if it doesn't look like there's good food, screw it. I'm not going. What am I going to eat for dinner?
exactly, I'm hungry.
I'm gonna have to get fast food on the way home.
Right.
Or if the traffic is so bad.
Yeah, and that's true too. I mean, I sit there sometimes. I'm like, I'm not going to that event. Like, I will not go to a night event in Philly. I won't even go to it.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
too
even.
much.
I don't go to an event in Philly unless I can take the speed line. Then I'll go. Mark, what do you like about networking? What don't you like about networking?
I do like part of the social aspect of it, but what I don't like is it becomes very cliquish. I actually took the initiative to fix that in the last few months, where I started asking the people in my little groups where I am very familiar with people, hey, if somebody's at a group that does something similar to what I do or is looking for something that I do, can you please introduce me? And I like to go to the smaller networking events, the pop-up networking events, because they're usually not 100 people. They're usually between 30 and 40 people. And you can kind of navigate that space in a 2-hour span a lot easier. And you can really get into a group of conversation with 3 or 4 different people where you're the one talking and they're all kind of taking it in. And I had that experience on Monday night. I actually almost forgot about a networking event. I ended up meeting a guy who works with professional athletes and is trying to teach them about saving money. Well, that's right up my alley. And that's something that I've done in the past, talking with pro athletes, explaining taxes, explaining how they're supposed to plan for all that. And of course, most of them have never heard of that. Most kids have never heard of that. And that's something that's starting to work for me. And I'm very pleased. And I've also been introduced to smaller networking events through my bigger networking groups, where it is a very business-like mindset, where there's maybe 30 people there and 4 or 5 people will come up, introduce themselves, tell you what they do. And most of the time you have a really nice 15-minute, 20-minute conversation and exchange cards and end up, getting involved and talking and looking forward to seeing each other at the next event and sharing ideas. And that I find works better than the large groups. I do like the large groups for social aspects. I agree with you on that, Kelly, because it's good for socialization, and we were all locked up for so long that we all need that. We need to feel the vibe of being in a group of people. I'm very much a person who likes to talk. And tell me to shut up, Coop, when I have to shut up, and I won't
Okay,
take it
shut
personally.
up. I know. I know. No, I'm going to say it's funny. That's why you have to come to Cocktails with Cooper, because Cocktails with Cooper is the best, one of the best events around. And the reason why is, and what you said is, there are some clicks. That's like anything. I become friends with people, but there's always people. I get like 15 people I've never even met before, and that always blows my mind. And they come up and they go, I go, hey, hi, I'm Steve, and they're like, oh, I'm Cooper. No, but no, because you don't want to sit there and be like, hey, I'm Cooper, look at me. But that's the thing about my event that I enjoyed is I get all these people I've never met. And I'm always like, how did you find out about this? And they're like, oh, what's up on Voorhees and Facebook, or what's up? And I'm like, that's awesome. So you got to come to next one, Mark. It's well, this will be airing the day after, but just, you missed it, people, because we'll be airing Thursday. But Chris Bate is one of my sponsors. So there you go. You missed it, but next time you'll come. So this is a question I don't, because we're all three are all in different completely businesses. And then, Kelly, you're in more tech and you're financial and you're real estate. But I want to talk about AI because I think because of my creative side, I'm against AI. I know it can do a lot. It can help you, but I also think it can cause a lot of bullshit. And Kelly, you'll appreciate this because I always go on Facebook. I look at recipes, food recipes, but now all these places, all these things are doing AI pictures. So when it doesn't even look like, it'll say, chop up the olives, but then you see a sandwich like a muffalata with all these whole olives. So I think it's hurting your creativity, but I'm in a creative space. So Kelly, because you're in both spaces, and don't you have to go too long on it. Just give me what is your thought about AI? Is it your friend? Is it your foe? Or is it just an acquaintance?
It has its space for certain things, but it has limitations. It's not the end all and be all. And you have to be careful because people try and generate things with AI and they're wildly inaccurate often. So, text, even pictures, whole olives versus, you can't really create a cat out of a tangerine the way AI does. So you have to know what you're looking for and decide how you're going to leverage it. So I wouldn't not use it because it probably is the wave of the future, but also be very wary of how you're using it.
Okay.
So that cat tail is an AI.
That's not an AI cat tail. That's right.
Oh, I have a kitten he's not manageable and he thinks he needs to be in the office at all times.
It's all right. It's good. No, it's good.
Animals are great.
Yeah, exactly. So Mark, being in the financial area, I'm sure there may be some weird shit going on that way with AI, but are you friend, foe, acquaintance, or it's all right, we'll hang out with them?
I think I'm going to end up being a foe going forward. It has its purpose now. I love that it will edit things that I write, make it maybe shorter, or because I have a tendency to go on, and I like something more condensed, and it'll do that for me. But I still want it to be authentic. I have seen, I think many of us have seen, especially on social media, even on TV, things that are just absolute fakes. You look at the people's lips, they don't even look real. You look at their faces, and if you've seen them recently, they didn't look that good. They haven't looked that good in 20 years. So I am very cautious about it. I don't mind using it when I'm sending a letter or I'm sending a text and I needed to edit the text. Maybe put in the proper punctuation, or if I missed a word because I was going too fast, it'll help me out. It'll catch up. So it saves me on a lot of time of proofreading. But I heard something the other day from one of the creators of AI who's obviously been warning everybody that AI is not the end all to be all. And this gentleman's point was that there will still, in the next 20 years, 30 years, still need to be a human to properly explain and interpret what the AI had generated into more simpler terms. So there will always be the need for somebody to take the information that the AI generates and then explain it in, again, more human, person-to-person, simple terms.
Okay. That's fair enough. And you're right. You're right. And you will need someone. But so it's funny that you sit there and said, because you'd like to talk longer. Well, see, I think though, for me, that's why I don't like AI, because I don't want my shit condensed. You know, that's what gives everyone. No, I'm saying that's what gives you your personality for me. And I think the funny thing is, you're one of the people that actually wants to condense it. Most people want to sit there and have a paragraph idea and make it real long, and then it's like, hey, and as you can see them speaking it as they're doing it in their head, and it's like a bad version of Glengarry Glen Ross. They're like, it's like crazy like that. But you're one of the person. But I think you should not condense, because I think that makes you who you are, and that's what people get to appreciate.
I agree with you when it comes to being in person. I do go long. My meetings are not normally an hour. Sometimes I'm at people's houses for 2 hours, if they're at their offices for 2 hours, whatever their schedule allows or what they want. I've had some people cancel meetings to continue talking. But what I mentioned about the condensed, it's when somebody says, give me the bullet points on the topic that I need to know about right now. I have a 401k plan right now that I'm helping them rebalance because of the uncertainty and economically just around the world right now. So I sent them a very short, this is what I recommend, and had AI clean it up to make it even shorter. They sent me back, thank you so much, this is great, and we'll talk later. That's the part about it I like, where It can just stop me from going on and on when all the client needs is straight to the point, done, over. And I save the elongated stuff for the phone conversations or the in-person conversations.
Okay, that makes sense. How about you, Chris? Because I'm wondering how it's affecting the realtor world, because it is something that's new. But what are you, a friend, foe, acquaintance? I don't care.
No, between friend and acquaintance, because it helps. First of all, it helps me a lot with adjectives when I'm describing a house in a listing, description. We have this lovely 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath colonial with 2,400 square feet or whatever. And so it in your creative side, it helps me just come up with something that's nice to read, versus some of the things that I might throw in because my creativity isn't very good that day or whatever. Proofread it. I mean, I think there are people who put too much reliance on what they're getting from it and just, plaster it out there. When they plaster it out there, it's not really it lacks accuracy. So, I'll take my basic, throw it into AI. AI will give me something else I can work with, and then I can just, correct it or edit it a little bit, and it comes out as something nice. When it comes to images, I find
myself doing the same thing, Chris. Not to talk over you. I find myself rereading what it does, and you're correct.
Yeah. And when it comes to images, I mean, we have a lot of things. We can actually do virtual staging now. I get offended a little bit when when I go to show a house and I've looked at the pictures online, I've got my client with me and I've read the descriptions they wrote. And then I get there and I go, what the hell is this? It's nothing like what they tried to tell me. So when you're making a presentation about something somebody's going to initially see online and then go see it in person, there better be, for your own credibility, some congruence to what, reality is. And when that gets too out of whack, not only am I offended for the people in my industry in general, I want to call them on the phone and just, reach through the phone and smack them. Like, what are you saying? 'Cause nothing you said is real in this space. So between words and images,
okay.
People get not in trouble, but they get reputations for overselling what they have. And when you get there and see it in person, you're like, what the hell? So that's my take on AI. Cautious optimism, if you will.
And you can use, instead of, if you have to find out like a word that you're thinking about something, just say it's the goods. Just say it's the goods, and or it's the shit, and no one's gonna ever complain. They're gonna go, hey, that's pretty cool. So, Kelly, how you doing there, Kelly?
I'm good.
I have a 2-parter for you. Okay. At this point in your life, not when you were just getting out of Holy Cross High School, not when you were getting out of, where did you go? St. Joe's or LaSalle or one of those? St. Joe's? Yeah. It's not when you get out there, but now in your life, 2-parter. First, what is success? Second, what is happiness to you now in your life?
Okay, let's see. Wow. No prep on that, Coop. Thanks for that. Um, let's see. What is success? I'm gonna say joy, right? So I know that that's kind of gonna lead into what happiness is. But if at the end of the day, you've achieved what you wanted to, whether it's money, a solid day of work, feeling good about what you did that day, coming home to your family, and really getting to enjoy yourself. And don't be so busy making a living that you forget to have a life. I would say that probably generates happiness for me, right? I really love what I do during the day when I'm working, but I also really love my family and my kids and my partner, and we just have like a great life. And so that really speaks of happiness for me.
Okay. How about you, Chris? Success and happiness.
So at 62 years old, I'm not where I thought I'd be 20 years ago, but I'm also happy about where I am. And when I say I'm not where I want to be, it's, the goals of a younger man are different than the goals of somebody who's my age now. And 63 end of the month. But so I am about peace, balance, and just calm joy. And calm joy in my career comes from closing a transaction where everybody's happy. The sellers got what they want, the buyers got what they want. We got to closing, we had a love fest. Some people don't, they don't feel that they have succeeded in their goal of a transaction unless they've somehow stuck it to the other person. And that's just who they are. And maybe it's the career that they have or whatever. I know that, I don't know, other careers are that way, whether it's Wall Street or legal or whatever. I haven't won unless you've lost. And I'm just so not about that. So in my career, it's that. In my personal life, look, my wife and I have a great life together. Our kids are doing well. And I'm able to get out and play golf once or twice a week. And life just runs smoothly and good. And I'm not nearly as interested in the things I was 20 years ago as I am now. My wife and I take at least one really great vacation every year, and then some side trips, and we're just we're enjoying life. So on a personal level, that's kind of what it is.
All right. I'm happy because I have a lazy eye and a really beautiful wife. So that makes me happy. So, Mark, success, happiness.
Success. I have two really good stories about that just from this past summer. Have clients that have been with me almost 20 years now, and I was able to tell them you're safely going to retire and not have to dip into your principal, live off the interest, and in fact, in one case, make more money than you did while working in retirement. Travel, do what you want. And having that meeting, being able to tell the client that, getting the positive vibes and the hug that came with it was exactly what I'm doing this for. Helping someone find out how much enough was and then exceed it. And they, of course, did their part savings-wise along the way, and they're now retired at 65, have a beautiful home on LBI, and they're looking forward to spending their time down there. And to me, that's success. When you help someone meet that goal, when you ask them how much is enough, and then they meet it or exceed it, that's success.
What's happiness?
And happiness. Happiness is two different things. It used to be about the accomplishments and about enjoying life and traveling. Now, after COVID, I've got a different opinion of what happiness is. I think happiness is being content and comfortable in how you're living your life. Not mean that I've had enough. I certainly have not had enough and want more. But it's really just about, okay, I feel like I did really good this week, and I can sleep well at night knowing that I had all my clients' best interest in mind and did my very best to achieve the goal that they tasked me with. That's happiness at the moment.
Okay. Now, we're all out there. We all meet people. We're referring people, we're doing this, we're doing that. And, you know, sometimes you give a referral and it blows up in your face. Okay. You refer someone and they just shit the bed. And that person doesn't hear it, you hear it. So that being said, we'll start with you, Chris. What characteristics or what does it take for you to refer someone? And it can be a plumber, it can be, you know, a restaurant, and it can be something, but what does it take you to actually refer someone and feel comfortable about it?
Yeah, great question, by the way. Yeah, my comfort level with them comes from personal experience in working with them and that they provide value. I get to refer a lot of contractors, and there are contractors and there are contractors. And I don't know their business or their business model or how it works financially, but I know that there can be wild differences in estimates to take care of something. A plumber's a great example, you know, somebody's got a leaky pipe and, you know, here's one quote for X and here's one quote for Y, and the quote for Y can't get to it for 3 weeks, and the quote for X that's down here can get to it, you know, tomorrow. And I've seen their work. I'm happy with it. I'm you know, I'm not against paying good money or telling my clients to pay good money for the things that they need, but at the same time, I want it to be effective and efficient. So yeah, I'm just, you know, an honest person who's going to give me give my clients an honest price and do honest work.
Okay. How about you, Mark?
You know,
What's to refer someone?
I had my own plumber. Can I relate a story real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I had my own plumber, and I called a guy I had used before, and I needed a kitchen sink faucet. And he said, "I'll come out and give you a quote." So he came out and he looked at it and he said, "Go buy a faucet, and I'll come over and install for you. And here's the amount." And I went, "Okay." And I went out and I bought it. And he said, "Okay, just hang on to it. I'll be there in 3 weeks." And I went, "I'm sorry, my kitchen sink doesn't work." You know, and I ended up getting something else. And then he sent me a bill for the fact that he came out and quoted it and told me what to do and wanted his money. And I went, "You didn't finish the job." So, you know what I mean? Like those sorts of things make me crazy.
Great. How about you, Mark?
It's similar to what Chris was saying. I refer a lot of lawyers, a lot of estate planning lawyers, people who are setting up trusts, and I want to know what the process is. I want the lawyer to sit down and actually treat me as if I was the client. And fortunately, I needed that about 8 years ago with an estate planning lawyer that I've become personal friends with. But at the time, it was purely professional for my mother. And just talking through the process with him and then seeing how he interacted with my mother and my stepfather, all of the above had a lot of impact on me and whether or not I would refer him. It's all about mannerisms. And the last thing I want to hear from somebody is, "Oh, they didn't get back to me," or they sent me a bill for an hour and I talked to them for 10 minutes, which can tend to happen with lawyers. And that kind of goes back to going out for the kill. You know, keep them on the phone as long as you can and run up the hours. So that it's a very big deal for me for people to the right personality. I have some lawyers that will deal with a business owner on a different level, but when it comes to my 65-year-old retired teacher who found all this money that she has and needs to put together a plan, I want her to feel comfortable and not be talked down to, be spoken to on her level. And that's something that I very much strive for. I don't like to talk down to people. I search always for the right words that'll help people see it, hopefully from the same eye level, and make them feel comfortable. And I'm constantly reassuring people that they do understand and that they do, you know, understand what I'm saying and understand the purpose of what I'm suggesting. So when I am going to refer, even if it's a real estate person, I want to know that they're going to treat that person as if they're a family member. Because that's the way I look at my investments. If I'm recommending something that would be for my grandmother, who unfortunately is not here anymore, she'd be 115 if she was. But I used to say to people, it's good enough for my grandmother, it's good enough for me, or it's good enough for you. Now, if it's good enough for my parents, it's good enough for you. Or if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for you. And not everybody's the same, but being able to have someone who can verbalize and put that type of message, no matter what it is, if it's coming from a lawyer perspective, a real estate perspective, a technology perspective, or pain in the ass comedian perspective. I tried. It's just the being able to talk to the person rather than down to the person. I don't ever want to refer somebody and hear that, oh, they made me feel like I knew nothing and I was an idiot.
Okay.
And that's not something I ever want to hear. And I've heard it, and I don't work with those people anymore. And I definitely let them know that was not appropriate. And, thanks, but no thanks. We're not going to do business anymore.
Okay. How about you, Kelly? Because you're out there, you refer people. You've always been referring people. What's your take?
Well, I think I have a couple different levels, right? If I'm really concerned about, if this person's going to deliver for this person, I want to have some sort of personal experience with them. Though I have to say, I'm one of those people that if I talk to somebody at a networking event and I meet somebody else at a networking event and I feel like they can connect, I may not have a personal experience with that person, but I will qualify that. I will say, listen, I just met this person. I don't know specifically how they work, but like you should probably have a conversation with this person. So I'm always, then I remove myself from the situation. But I would say, if it was back against the wall and your reputation's at stake as far as the referral goes, you always, I always want to have a personal experience, a successful personal experience with somebody to refer them.
Okay. So, but by the time this airs, there'll be a president. It airs on Thursday. Election day is Tuesday, and we're not getting political here. I just want to ask you, when we go to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is always crazy. Do you think LinkedIn, and there's no right or wrong answer, I don't think that LinkedIn is a place for politics or religion, unless, of course, you are a politician and you're pushing I don't care if you're indie, left or right. If that's what you do, you're a politician, that's your profession, then LinkedIn, I understand it. Just like with religion, I'm not a religious person. My wife is. I'm not. But if you're a clergy or whatever, a rabbi, a priest, and you're putting up stuff, I'm all good with that. But I don't think it's a place. I don't want to see religion and politics on LinkedIn. And I may be wrong, and that's just me. But Kelly, what's your thought? Because you went to Catholic school, so I know you got that background. But do you think LinkedIn is a place for religion or politics?
I do not. And ultimately, when you're I was the director of the Garden State Discovery Museum for 17 years, right? So you're a figurehead and a community industry person. You're never really allowed to have an opinion because you're dealing with retail, right? People coming to you for a service. So you really never want to put your foot in any camp because somebody's going to be offended no matter what you do. So, and I feel that way about LinkedIn. You can have a personal belief. You can side with whatever. If it's not your job to be in the politics, I would suggest that stuff all needs to be left off the table because someone's going to be offended. It's a polarizing topic, politics and religion. So, that's, in my opinion, that's how I would handle it. I would just take it off altogether unless it's your job.
It's real funny. For my other show, Coop's Comedy Corner, I have a friend, Steve McGrew, who's an amazing comic. He used to open for Dolly Parton. He's very right-wing, but he does a lot of cruise ships. When he performs, he never does politics because he says the same thing. He's like, you know what? People paid money to come to the show. I'm going to do my act. He goes, I do have a Southern act. He goes, I don't want to put my politics in it. And it's funny that one, because we had a conversation the other night about it, because I've given him shit. I sent him a message one time. And as I said, I'm an Indian, so it doesn't make a difference. But Chris, what's your feeling? Politics and religion on LinkedIn?
Hard no. It's a hard no. This may be an oversimplification, but I view LinkedIn as the business version of Facebook. And that may or may not be true depending on who you are, but you get the idea. And no, I think that religion and politics will destroy any social relationship. And I use social media as the term there, but any relationship, whether it's in person or online or under whatever, I just think that you can have the best person in the world, but if you're a hardcore somebody, left, right, middle, whatever, and you're going to make your determinations about working with someone based on theirs, if they're if theirs doesn't agree with you, you've completely thrown professional credibility out the window.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that.
I'm hardcore no.
See,
Yeah.
I'm the same way. But it's funny. I hate when people argue on LinkedIn about who is better, Mr. Furley or Mr. Roper on Three's Company. That always gets me upset because I'm a Roper guy, and I'll say that. But I do like
Kelly,
Furley.
do you even get that analogy?
Me?
Do you even understand that analogy?
I am
Who
gonna.
Mr. Roper was?
Of course, I know who Mr. Roper was. I love that Three's Company, and also, I am 50 years old.
So there you go. So she gets it. I knew
Youngest
Kelly
person
would get
on the
it.
call.
So Mark, what's your take on it?
Hard hell no. It should not be on there. I've sadly had to break away from people that I followed, and I see in networking events because they did go on one side or the other on their LinkedIn, and I thought it was very, very bad, a very bad idea for their business. It showed a bad side. It made you feel like if you didn't agree with them, they wouldn't do business with you, which is something that I'm like you, Coop. I'm not a religious person. I grew up around the military. I was a military brat, so I was taught to be apolitical at a very young age. So I keep to that. I don't share my opinions unless it's with my close friends or a personal situation. But even my family, my parents, when I was growing up, we never talked about it. So religion or politics, if I had questions, they answered them, but it was never a push. And I feel like people mistakenly are thinking that they're opening themselves up for more opportunities by sharing their opinions. And I think it's having the opposite effect. And I'm really sad to see that in some cases, because a lot of these people are, in some cases, 20 years younger than I am. And, that's going to stay with you because it's on video and it's on the internet. Once you start doing that, it can be found. You can delete it all you want, but people will find it if they really want to. So I think it should always be separated from any business conversation, and in some cases, a personal conversation. Like you said, Coop, your wife is religious, you're not. She's okay with that, you're okay with that. That's the kind of thing I look at with my friends and family members who are religious. They understand I'm not. I'll listen to them, and they'll listen to me, and then we walk away. We're still friends. We still hug, and it's all great. But I do think it needs to stay off, and I think it kind of needs to stay off Facebook. I don't use it for business, but I've seen some people kind of go down the rabbit hole, and unfortunately, I've lost friendships over it.
That sucks. Yeah, it's funny. Me and my wife argue that she's an Al from Happy Days, owner of Arnold's. I'm an Arnold from Happy Days owner. So I'm a Pat Morita fan. She's Italian, so she likes the Al Domenico. Anyway, final question. We're going to start with the final question. You guys have been great today. Someone comes up to you, and they could be getting out of trade school. They could be getting out of high school. They could just be a little kid. They could be someone on the street, and they want to know, what do they have to do to succeed in business? Because you've all had careers and you're all working, or if you served as like a mentor to someone. We'll put it that way. If you're a mentor to someone, Chris, what advice do you give to someone if they came up to you and asked you for just wisdom and just briefly wisdom about life or business? What would you do what would you say as a mentor?
I would say that business is about relationships and developing them over a long period of time. It's never a short-term relationship, mostly, if you're trying to build a career. So don't stop looking for, I'm going to jump into a career today and and this is what a young person might think, be rich tomorrow. It just doesn't work like that. You have to develop, you have to educate yourself, you have to gain experience with the things that you do. People getting into my industry, you are going to suck at it in the beginning, okay? But experience and talking to people who've been in it a while will help you develop the skills you need to build the relationships that are going to serve you for a lifetime career.
Okay. How about you, Kelly?
I would say that you should find a vocation that inspires you enough to make goals. So if you are doing something that you're uninspired by, you are never going to want to do move higher in that. You're not going to enjoy going to work every day. You're not going to want to succeed in any other way. But if you're inspired by what you're doing and you find something that works for you, you will want to make goals and grow. And so I find, whether that's a personal, whether it's financial, whether it is, there's a lot of ways people feel success at work. So that would be my advice.
How about you, Mark?
I think what Chris and Kelly said was great about the relationship building, so I won't go into that. The number one thing I say to people that want to go into sales is be okay with failing. Don't take it so personal. Use it as a motivator. You struck out 100 times. I remember I made 300 cold calls in 1997 selling a money market account. I got 2 yeses. I thought I was a failure. I got high-fived by every guy in the office. That was a success. So I learned very early on in my career that it doesn't come to you in great numbers. It's based off follow-up. It's based off relationship building, just as Chris and Kelly said. And that's really how you have to base your goals. But if I fail 100 times, and if I did fail, and I have failed 1,000 times, I still wouldn't be doing this. My goals are to help people feel like I did something that was worthwhile, which I shared earlier. And I always tell people, if you can fail with professionalism, you don't get a bad idea, or you see the person, you still shake their hand. Or I've lost a client because they thought maybe this guy was better than me. See them out socially, still going to go up and shake their hand and say, hey, how's your family? I'm not going to give them the side eye or be rude. I think that's unprofessional. So that's the other thing I try to say. Always be professional, whether you got them as a client, lost them as a client, whatever it may be. But if you failed, get up and try again. It's
All
the
right.
old Rocky. It's the old thing from Rocky. We grew up with Rocky. Rocky he fell, he got back up. He fell, he got back up. You have to learn how to fail and then take it as a learning experience and evolve from it.
All right. See, that's good advice. You guys have been great. Chris, how can people get in touch with you?
My website, chris@chrisbaterealestate.com. My phone number, 609-304-7420. Or just come knock on the door here in Morristown at Keller Williams.
All right. Kelly.
Kelly@Snevel.com.
Mark.
FisherWealthMGT.com, or feel free to give me a call, 856-265-1081.
Okay, so people reach out to them if your needs. You can reach out to me, the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. Just so you know, I'm running a BOGO special now. If you want to advertise on this show, be a sponsor of this show and Coop's Comedy Corner, both are on YouTube. Coop's Comedy Corner is my new show. I'm 6 episodes in. I've had already Emmy-winning writers, 2 stars of the show Homicide. Wendy Liebman just posted, one of the best comedians ever. Hit me up. I'll give you a deal. You can get a little spin on both shows. Also, go to coopertalk.net. You can find all my past Cooper Talk episodes. I have 1,025 of them. Email me. I'll tell you the next comedy date at the Soundplex. I believe it's going to be the week of Thanksgiving. I don't know if it's going to be a Monday or Tuesday, but we're doing that week of Thanksgiving, Monday or Tuesday. Corks Comedy and Connections, great networking, great wine, great comedy. And don't forget to reach out to SuiteRecording, SUITE recording.com. Joe Gangemi is the best. That's why I work with him. He will hook you up. He does so much stuff. You got to reach out to him. If you have any podcast needs, reach out to him. So that's about it for today. Go to YouTube, like the Coop Tank, watch the shows. I'm Steve Cooper, and you guys have a great weekend.